Hey guys, May 24th, 2010. I want to read an article to you from Before It's News. That's the website name. And the article is called Argentina to Greece. Default and poverty ahead. Our sympathies to you. Okay, they're saying that they've been there and done that, and they're sympathizing with those that that these things are coming to you, poverty and default. They're speaking from experience, guys, and it's just a warning to us, all right? And this article was written on the 16th by Argentinian economist Adrian Salbuchi, writes about the difficulties faced in Argentina during their currency crisis and their catastrophic decade 1991 through 2000, which indeed in massive default, and how this compares with Greece and so many other countries' plights. Okay. When Argentinians watch the news today, they say terrible things that are happening in Greece. We cannot but say, hey, this is exactly like Argentina in December 2001 and beginning in 2002. Then, too, Argentina underwent its worst systemic banking, public debt, and monetary collapse, which led to social turmoil, mad violence, rioting, and social war. The turmoil was so bad that it forced then-President Fernando de la Rusa's government to resign, especially because of his notorious pro-banker cartel economy minister, Domingo Cavallo, generating a political vacuum that led to Argentina having 5 presidents at the end of December 2001. Now, that's chaos, guys. And things can happen fast in this country, as we know. So you never know what's around the corner. What triggered social chaos in Argentina was an attempt by President de la Rua to implement a grossly unjust austerity measures imposed by the IMF that required, as usual, utmost sacrifice from the people, more taxes, less social spending, balanced budgets, zero deficit spending amongst their antisocial measures, which led to a fall of almost 40% in Argentina's GDP. Okay, now Greece, this is on the 16th. Greece, okay guys, it just went through this. You wonder why they're upset. They know their history. They know what happened back in Argentina, and these are following the exact same steps. The IMF comes in, bails them out. Okay, huge austerity measures. The brunt of the burden goes on to the taxpayer. Okay. Half of all Argentinians fell below the poverty line. Most were never to make it back to their middle class status. After this, private banks were allowed to legally retain everybody's savings. U.S. dollar deposits were arbitrarily changed into pesos at whatever rate exchange the government and bankers decided. Okay? You had no say. And everything was devalued. And yet, not one bank failed. Indeed, since then, they're all back in business as usual. However, the poor and impoverished are totally out of business. Okay, that middle class sustainability, guys, that builds an economy was gone. Okay, it was leveled out. That wealth was redistributed. Okay, most of it went upstairs, and that middle class went down to the poorer class. Poor get poorer, rich get richer. Okay, redistribution of wealth. That's what that's called. Throughout the 25-year of successive caretaker governments in Argentina, the IMF global banking cartel artificially generated a basically illegal or at least illegitimate sovereign debt that grew so huge that it ended up collapsing the entire financial and economic system. That was no coincidence. It was part of a highly complex model engineered to control entire countries through a cycle of having sequential stages and identifiable parts that has one basic overriding goal. Okay? It's like somebody was in a laboratory, a technical economic laboratory, and they contrived this model or this mechanism that could create economic utopia and collapse it. You know, kind of like the Federal Reserve with their interest rates. Okay? But this is a model, an engineered model, that they can create these things with and thus control countries if they're using a fiat money system. And it goes on here, and I'm not going to be able to read all this article. That was no coincidence. All right, growth. The bulk of all profits were privatized into the hands of their friends, managers, and operators. However, when the whole scheme, like all Ponzi schemes, reaches its climax and total collapse is at hand, they revert the process and then socialize all the losses. Okay, what does that mean? They socialize all the losses. It goes onto the backs of the taxpayers. Okay, just like the $750 billion bailout, trillions now. Okay, and as the bankers get all their bonuses still, we take on all the debt and have to pay for it. Higher taxation. Okay, austerity measures. That's exactly what Argentina went through. Greece has went through it. They've got their bailout. We're going through it. Okay. I wish I could read all this, but you're going to have to go to the article, guys. Now, when that was Argentina in 2001, 2002, but isn't that also the case when today's U.S. taxpayer bails out Goldman Sachs, AIG, Citicorp, GM, while losing his house, pension, and job? Okay, they get their bonuses. Okay, while we're losing our houses and pensions, nuts, and our jobs. Isn't that what's happening in Greece today, and Iceland, and the UK and Ireland, and anytime soon Spain, Portugal, and Italy? Okay, this is going to happen. It's like a domino effect. In Argentina, I'm not going to read that part. Today we look at Greece and see the same telltale signs. The IMF imposing strict austerity measures and a condition for the banks to lend more money to them. The mainstream media speaking on the need for Greece to do things correctly and responsibly. Okay, local caretaker governments doing all they can on the behalf of banking interests. Major banks such as Goldman Sachs trying to collect their pound of flesh in the midst of the turmoil and hardship. All of this is against a backdrop of desperate citizens taking to the streets to express what is obvious to all, that international bankers and local caretaker government form a complex association of thieves and robbers. Whew. It's a mouthful. The inevitable then occurs. The government sends the police out to the streets to protect the bankers, themselves, and the New World Order power elite interests. Then violence flares up and people get hurt and die. The poor police battle against the poor population. Thesis, antithesis. Rub them together and get synthesis. While the rich look on from a safe distance with a chuckle. Make no mistake, this is a global model. Adrian Salbuchi says. This is a model. They've seen it over and over and over again. Trends forecaster Gerald Celente says that same thing. It's a model that can be worked in the system to create bubbles and to pop bubbles. Okay, make no mistake, there is no democracy, not even in Athens in its birthplace. So who's next? Spain, Italy, Portugal. While the European monetary system just blows up to pieces, a $750 billion euro bailout will send the recently born, still in diapers, euro into a tailspin, while the European monetary mechanism fall apart. Will Germany be the first to revert to the old Deutschmark? However you say that. Stay tuned. There is much more coming, guys. Again, that article is from before it's news, and I better end this. Last time it went too long. So hang in there, guys. We're continuing in the same footsteps as Argentina and Greece, and just because we have the world reserve currency, we're spoiled brats. It's caused us to have a lifestyle that is not real, and a dramatic decrease in our standard of living is coming. So just prepare now. Take care. Have a good evening. Bye.